The 72 hours passed in a blur. The shelter became command central for the growing movement. Volunteers organized protests. Medical teams coordinated care for refugees across the city. Engineers mass-produced atmospheric regulators. The human response was chaotic but effective. Daeho barely slept. He coordinated with Yoonhee on media strategy, worked with doctors to treat sick refugees, and tried to be there for Hana. His daughter stayed close to Arya, and the two girls had become inseparable. On the morning of the government vote, Ambassador Kira requested a public forum at New Seoul Station. Thousands gathered. The event was broadcast across Earth and beyond. This was humanity's moment of truth. Kira spoke first. The Vellani government sent me to Earth to assess whether humans were worthy of full diplomatic relations. I came expecting to find a warlike species driven by aggression and selfishness. She paused. I was wrong, she gestured to the crowd. I found a species capable of rapid moral evolution. When presented with injustice, humans don't wait for permission to act. They see a problem and fix it. They see suffering and end it. Commander Ren stepped forward. During the border conflicts, we fought humans for 5 years. We called you monsters, savages. We didn't understand that your fierceness comes from protection, not aggression. You fight hardest when defending others. He looked directly at Daeho in the crowd. This human lost his wife to our conflicts. He had every reason to hate us. But when he saw a dying child, he saved her. Not because anyone ordered him to. Not because he would gain anything. Because it was right. Dr. Hella presented research data. Since this movement began 6 days ago, human volunteers have saved 2,300 Vellani lives. Human engineers have solved atmospheric problems we've struggled with for decades. Human organizational capacity, spontaneous without central authority, has accomplished more than formal government programs could in years. She let that sink in. Humans don't need orders to organize. They don't need authority to mobilize. They choose to act. That choice, repeated millions of times, makes them unlike any species in known space. The forum opened for public testimony. Refugees told their stories. Volunteers explained why they helped. Even some government officials who had changed their minds spoke up. Then it was Daeho's turn. He stood at the podium with Hana beside him. The crowd went quiet. Everyone keeps asking why I did this, Daeho began. Like it's complicated. My daughter and I saw a child dying. We helped. That's the whole story. He looked at Hana, then at Arya standing with Lyra in the crowd. People say humans are warlike, aggressive, emotional. Maybe we are. But we're also the species that will drop everything to help a stranger. Not for profit. Not for recognition. Because we can't stand to see someone suffer when we have the power to stop it. His voice grew stronger. Some call that weakness. I call it strength. The strength to choose compassion over fear, to choose principle over convenience, to choose the hard right over the easy wrong. He pointed to the crowd. Look at all these people. They didn't know me before this week. They didn't know Lyra or Arya, but they came anyway. They donated food, time, skills, money. Some risked arrest. Some lost jobs. They did it because they saw injustice and refused to accept it. He looked directly into the cameras broadcasting this across Earth. That's humanity. We're stubborn. Unreasonably, stupidly stubborn. When we decide something is right, we won't stop until it's done, and we've decided that letting children die because of where they were born is wrong. The crowd erupted in cheers. Daeho stepped back, suddenly exhausted. Lyra came to the podium next. She was nervous, but Arya held her hand for support. I am Lyra. I am Vellani. 6 days ago, I thought my sister would die and be thrown away like trash. I was wrong. Her voice shook with emotion. A human saved her. Then thousands of humans joined him. They didn't have to. They chose to. She performed a gesture, touching her forehead and heart. In Vellani culture, we have the Oath of Life song. When someone saves your life, your families become one forever. Daeho accepted this oath. His family and mine are now bonded. She looked at Daeho. But I think all humans took this oath. When one human stood up, millions followed. You saved my sister. You saved my people. The Vellani will remember this forever. As the forum continued, news came from the government building. The vote was underway. But something unexpected was happening. Protesters, human protesters, had surrounded the building. They demanded representatives vote for refugee rights. Senators who planned to vote against the measure were changing their minds under public pressure. One senator gave an interview on the steps. I planned to vote no. I thought it was politically safe. Then I went home, and my children asked me why I wanted to let kids die. I couldn't answer them. Another said, "My office has received 50,000 messages in 3 days, all demanding we protect refugees. My constituents have spoken." By evening, the results came in. The vote passed overwhelmingly. Refugee status granted to all Villani on Earth. Medical support programs established. Legal protections guaranteed. Formal apology issued. The crowd at the forum erupted in celebration. Refugees cried with joy. Volunteers hugged each other. Even hardened police officers smiled. But Daeho knew the real work was just beginning. Laws were easy. Changing hearts was hard. 3 months later, the city had transformed. The basement shelter was now a proper community center. Villani and human children attended school together. Mixed neighborhoods formed where both species lived side by side. Cultural exchanges happened daily. Arya had fully recovered. She attended school with Hana. The two girls were best friends, teaching their classmates both languages. They talked about exploring space together someday. Lyra enrolled in technical college, studying engineering. She was designing next-generation atmospheric systems to help other displaced populations. Human engineers worked alongside her, learning from each other. Daeho had been reinstated at his job with a formal commendation, but he worked part-time now. The rest of his time went to the First Response Network, a volunteer medical organization he helped found. It provided emergency care to anyone who needed it, regardless of species or legal status. Jiwoo ran a program connecting former soldiers from both sides. Veterans who once fought each other now work together to help refugees from other conflicts. Yoonhee's journalism won galactic recognition. Her work inspired cross-species investigative cooperation across multiple worlds. One evening, Daeho took Hana to Sujin's memorial. Lyra and Arya came with them. It had become a regular visit. Daeho spoke to his late wife's memorial stone. "I think I finally understand what you were trying to do. You saw that fear was the only thing keeping us apart. And the cure for fear is knowing someone. Really knowing them." He looked at Lyra and Arya. "I wish you could meet them. I wish you could see Hana with Arya. They're showing everyone what's possible when we stop being afraid." Hana placed flowers at the memorial. "Mama, we went first, just like you said. And lots of people followed us." As they walked home through streets where humans and Villani lived together peacefully, Daeho realized something. The galaxy was watching. Earth's transformation was being studied by other species. Humans had shown that rapid change was possible. That fear could be overcome. That compassion could spread faster than hatred. Ambassador Kira had said it best in her report to the Galactic Council. Humanity should be admitted to full council membership immediately. Not because they're perfect, they're not. But because when they see injustice, they fix it. They don't wait for permission. They see a problem and solve it. They see suffering and end it. The galaxy needs that energy. The galaxy needs that conscience. That night, as Daeho tucked Hana into bed, she asked him a question. "Appa, are we heroes?" Daeho smiled. "No, sweetheart. We're just people who couldn't walk away from someone who needed help. The real heroes are everyone who saw what we did and decided to help too. But we went first. Yes, we went first. And that matters." Hana hugged her stuffed rabbit, the one she had given to Arya and gotten back. "I'm glad we went first." "Me too, sweetheart." "Me too." In the darkness of space above Earth, ships from a dozen species watched the planet with new interest. Humanity had proven something important. That change was possible. That compassion could triumph over fear. That one person's courage could ignite millions of hearts. The story that began with a desperate girl begging for burial dignity had become something far greater. It became proof that when humans decide to care, the galaxy changes, and it would never be the same again. The story spread faster than anyone expected. By morning, protests had erupted in 12 major cities across Earth. Humans were demanding refugee rights. Medical professionals volunteered at alien shelters. Engineers designed better atmospheric regulators. Ordinary people opened their homes to Villani families, but not everyone was happy. Daeho stood at the shelter entrance, watching news broadcasts on a portable screen. The Earth Coalition government was in crisis mode. Officials were giving speeches trying to control the damage. "This unauthorized broadcast has created unnecessary panic," one government spokesperson said. "We are investigating these claims." But we urge citizens not to take matters into their own hands. Let proper authorities handle refugee issues. Jiwoo laughed bitterly. Proper authorities. The same ones who've been covering up deaths for years. The shelter had transformed overnight. What had been a dark basement was now filled with supplies donated by humans. Medical equipment, food, clean water. Volunteers worked around the clock to help the refugees. But danger was also growing. Anti-alien groups were organizing counter-protests. They claimed Daeho was a traitor. They said aliens were taking human jobs and resources. Some threats were violent. More concerning, the government issued official arrest warrants, not just for Daeho and Taesung, also for Yoonhee for inciting public disorder. They wanted to make examples of them. You need to hide, Nira urged Daeho. Take Hana and disappear until this blows over. It won't blow over, Daeho said. Either we win this fight now or we lose everything. A commotion outside drew their attention. Jiwoo rushed in, out of breath. They're coming. Police units. They have orders to clear the shelter and arrest everyone involved. The volunteers looked at each other nervously. Some were brave, but facing arrest was different from donating food. Lyra stood up. Everyone should leave. You've done enough. Don't risk arrest for us. But the elderly woman who had come first shook her head. Young lady, I'm 70 years old. I've lived through enough history to know when I'm on the right side of it. I'm not leaving. One by one, the other volunteers echoed her. They would stay. They would face arrest if necessary. This is insane, Jiwoo muttered. But even he didn't leave. Outside, they could hear the police arriving. Loudspeakers ordered everyone to disperse. But the protective ring of humans around the shelter didn't move. More people arrived to join them. Daeho picked up Hana. Stay close to me no matter what happens. The police commander approached the human shield. This is your final warning. Disperse now or face arrest for obstruction. A middle-aged man at the front of the shield spoke up. We're not obstructing anything. We're protecting children. That's not illegal. You're protecting illegal aliens. We're protecting children, the man repeated firmly. Human or alien, they're children. You want to arrest us for protecting children? The police commander hesitated. This wasn't what he expected. He had orders to clear the area, but arresting hundreds of peaceful humans on camera would look terrible. While the standoff continued, news arrived that shook everything. A Vellani diplomatic ship had entered Earth's orbit. They were requesting permission to land at New Seoul Station. The Earth government, caught off guard, didn't know how to respond. Refusing would be seen as hostile. Accepting meant acknowledging the refugee crisis. By afternoon, the Vellani ship landed. 3 figures emerged. Ambassador Kira, a former refugee who had escaped to Vellani space years ago. Commander Ren, a military officer, and Dr. Hella, a medical specialist. They didn't go to government buildings. They came directly to the shelter. The crowd parted for them. Lyra gasped when she saw Ambassador Kira. That's the ambassador. Why is she here? Kira approached with Commander Ren and Dr. Hella following. She looked at the shelter, at the refugees, at the human volunteers. Then she looked at Daeho. You are the human who saved the child? She asked. Daeho nodded. I'm Daeho. This is my daughter Hana. Kira knelt down to Hana's eye level. Thank you for sharing your father with my people. That took courage. Hana looked shy but pleased. Then Kira stood and addressed everyone. Her voice was amplified so the crowd could hear. The Vellani government has been monitoring this situation. We have watched your broadcasts. We have seen what is happening here. She paused. We came expecting to negotiate with Earth's government. But we realize now that Earth's government does not speak for all humans. She gestured to the crowd of volunteers. These humans speak louder. Their actions speak clearer. Commander Ren stepped forward. He was a large, intimidating figure. Daeho recognized military bearing when he saw it. This was a warrior. I fought against humans in the border conflicts, Ren said. His voice was deep and carried authority. I studied your tactics, your weapons, your strategies. I learned to fear your military power. He looked at Daeho, but I didn't understand you. I didn't understand what drives humans, he gestured around. Now I see. You fight for each other with the same intensity you fight against enemies. When one human decides to care, thousands follow. That's not weakness. That's terrifying power. Dr. Hella spoke next. I am a medical specialist. I have studied many species. I came here to offer medical assistance to the refugees. She smiled. But I see human volunteers have already begun that work. In 3 days, you have accomplished what would take my government 3 months to organize. She pulled out a data pad. Human medical volunteers have saved over 1,000 Villani refugees since this story broke. Human engineers have designed atmospheric systems better than our own technology. Human coordination, without government orders, exceeds the efficiency of any species we've studied. Ambassador Kira addressed the police commander directly. Commander, your government faces a choice. Work with these humans to help refugees or fight these humans and lose moral authority. Choose wisely. The police commander looked uncomfortable. He spoke into his comm device, consulting with superiors. While he waited, something unexpected happened. Police officers began removing their riot helmets. One young officer walked over to the human shield and joined it. I have a daughter too, the officer said quietly to Deho. I can't arrest people for protecting kids. Other officers followed. Not all of them, but enough to matter. The police commander's face went red with anger, but he could do nothing. Without his full unit, he couldn't clear the shelter by force. He spoke into his comm device again. A long conversation followed. Finally, he turned to the crowd. Orders from higher up. We're standing down. The shelter is not to be touched until further notice. A cheer went up from the crowd. Lyra collapsed in relief. Arya hugged her sister tightly, but Deho knew this wasn't victory yet. The government would regroup. Anti-alien factions would push back. The real fight was just starting. Ambassador Kira approached him privately. Your species frightens me, she said softly. Not your weapons. Your capacity for change. You go from hostility to compassion, faster than any species I've studied. How? Deho smiled tiredly. We're human, we mess up. But when we see we're wrong, we fix it. Then we try to do better. It's not always fast enough. It's not always pretty. But we keep trying. That night, the Earth Coalition government announced an emergency session. They would vote on refugee status for all Villani on Earth, medical support programs, legal protections. The vote was scheduled for 72 hours from now. Everything hung in the balance. 36 hours later, Arya was breathing much better. She could sit up now. She could even smile. But Deho knew this was only a temporary fix. She needed permanent atmospheric support. That meant getting legal help. That meant going public. He sat in the shelter with Yoonhee, the journalist, and Jiwoo. Also, there was Taesung, a station administrator who had secretly been documenting refugee deaths for months. We need to be smart about this, Jiwoo said. He was nervous, constantly checking his comm device. If we go public and the story doesn't catch attention, we all go to prison. Deho loses Hana. The refugees get deported. If we don't go public, children keep dying, Yoonhee said firmly. She was reviewing footage on her camera. I've been investigating for weeks. Over 3,000 Villani refugees have died in the last year. All from preventable causes. The government knows and does nothing. Taesung pulled out a data chip. I have files. Official documents showing the cover-up. Station authorities delete death reports. They list them as bio-waste disposal instead of deaths. It's systematic murder by neglect. Deho watched Lyra and Arya across the room. The two sisters were teaching Hana some words in their language. All 3 girls were laughing. It was strange seeing them so happy in such a terrible place. What's the plan? He asked. Yoonhee looked at him seriously. I published the story with video evidence of Arya's treatment. Taesung leaks the official documents to multiple news networks. Jiwoo provides government context as an anonymous source. You and Lyra give live testimony explaining what happened. Live testimony. Lyra had been listening. She walked over with worry on her face. That means they'll know who we are. They'll deport us. They might try, Yoonhee said. But if the story goes viral, public pressure could protect you. Could, not will. Lyra shook her head. You're asking us to risk everything on could. I'm asking you to risk everything so thousands of other families don't have to die in secret. Yoonhee's voice was gentle but firm. Lyra sat down heavily. Arya walked over and took her sister's hand. What do you think? Lyra asked her little sister. Arya looked at Deho. He risked everything for me. For us, I think we should risk something too. Deho felt his chest tighten. This 9-year-old alien child had more courage than most adults he knew. There's another problem, Jiwoo said. I got a message from my supervisor. They've traced the stolen equipment. They know it came from your section, Deho. They're issuing a warrant for your arrest. You have maybe 12 hours. 12 hours. Daeho thought about Hana. If he got arrested, social services would take her. She would grow up without either parent. Was he really willing to risk that? He remembered Sujin's last words in the hospital. Promise me you'll teach Hana to be brave. Promise me she'll know that doing the right thing matters more than being safe. He had made that promise. Now it was time to keep it. We do it tonight, Daeho said. We broadcast everything before they can arrest me. Appa, no. Hana had been listening. She ran to him and grabbed his arm. They'll take you away from me. Daeho knelt down to her eye level. Sweetheart, do you remember what Mama used to say? About being brave? Hana's eyes filled with tears. Someone has to go first. That's right. And right now we have to go first. We have to be brave so other people can follow. Do you understand? But I don't want to lose you like I lost Mama. Daeho pulled her into a tight hug. You won't lose me. I promise I'll fight to come back to you. But I need to do this. Arya would have died if we hadn't helped. How many other kids like Arya are dying right now while we do nothing? Hana was quiet for a long moment. Then she stepped back and wiped her eyes. Okay, Appa. We can go first. Her bravery broke his heart and made him proud at the same time. That evening, they set up the broadcast equipment. Hyun-hee would stream it live on multiple platforms to make it harder to shut down. Taesung prepared to send his documents to 20 different news organizations simultaneously. Ji-woo stood guard at the shelter entrance, watching for security forces. Lyra sat nervously in front of the camera. Arya stood beside her, holding her hand. Daeho sat on Lyra's other side. Hana insisted on being in the frame too. Ready? Yoon-hee asked. Daeho nodded. Ready. The camera's red light turned on. They were live. My name is Lyra, the alien girl began. Her voice shook, but she spoke clearly. I am 16 years old. I am Villani. 48 hours ago, my sister was dying. I begged a human stranger to bury her when she died, because I knew our government would throw her body away like garbage. She paused, gathering courage. This human's name is Daeho. His wife died 3 years ago because of conflicts between our peoples. He had every reason to hate us, but he didn't let my sister die. He saved her life. The camera panned to show Arya, healthy and breathing normally with the atmospheric regulator nearby. Then Daeho spoke. My name is Daeho. I'm a father. I'm a widower. I'm a former combat medic. 48 hours ago I made a choice. I chose to save a child's life instead of following rules that would let her die. He looked directly into the camera. The Earth government has been covering up a humanitarian crisis. Over 3,000 Villani refugees have died from preventable causes in the last year. They died because our system treats them as less than human, less than people. They died because we decided their lives don't matter. His voice grew stronger. I'm not a hero. I'm just a father who couldn't walk away from a dying child. But if that makes me a criminal, then fine. Arrest me. But first answer this question. What kind of society are we building when we let children die because of where they were born? Hana stepped forward. My mama died helping people like Arya. She said everyone deserves kindness. If we let Arya die, my mama died for nothing. I don't want my mama to have died for nothing. The simple words from a 7-year-old child hit harder than any speech from an adult could have. Yoon-hee cut to footage of the shelter. Cramped conditions, sick refugees, children coughing. Then she showed Taesung's documents. Official cover-ups, deleted death records, bureaucratic language that treated living beings as waste disposal problems. Within minutes, the broadcast was being shared across Earth's networks. Within an hour, it had spread to other human colonies. Within 2 hours, it reached alien networks across the galaxy. Comments flooded in. Most were supportive. Some were angry, calling Daeho a traitor, but the overall response was overwhelming. Hashtags started trending. We're not on our watch. Remember Arya. Humanity can do better. Then the backlash began. Anti-alien groups organized protests. Government officials scrambled to control the narrative. Anonymous threats flooded Yoon-hee's communication channels. Someone posted the shelter's location online. We need to evacuate, Ji-woo said urgently. There's an angry mob forming. They're heading this way. But before they could move, the shelter's door burst open. Daeho stepped in front of the children instinctively. But it wasn't an angry mob, it was other humans. Dozens of them. They carried supplies, food, medicine, blankets. An elderly woman stepped forward. We saw the broadcast, she said. We came to help. More are coming. You won't face this alone. Tears ran down Lyra's face. Nira grabbed Deho's arm, shocked into silence. Outside, they could hear chanting. But it wasn't angry chanting. It was supportive. Hundreds of humans had formed a protective ring around the shelter entrance. One human decided to care. And thousands followed. The revolution had begun. Deho worked through the night. His hands moved quickly over Arya's small body, checking her vital signs. Nira brought him what supplies she could find. Most of it was junk, old medical equipment that humans had thrown away. But Deho made it work. Her lungs are shutting down, he explained to Lyra, who knelt beside him. Earth's air doesn't have enough argon. Your people need it to breathe properly. It's like a human trying to breathe on a mountaintop. Eventually, the body gives up. Lyra translated between her language and human language, helping Deho understand Vellani physiology. She was smart, he noticed. She had taught herself human language and basic medicine just from watching and listening. How long has she been sick? Deho asked. 2 months, Lyra said quietly. It started small. Just coughing. Then she couldn't run anymore. Then she couldn't walk. Now she just lies there. Why didn't you take her to a hospital? Lyra laughed bitterly. Hospitals don't treat aliens without papers. We tried once. They called security. We barely escaped deportation. Deho felt anger rising in his chest, but not at Lyra. At the system. At the bureaucrats who made rules that killed children. He pulled out his personal comm device and made a call. A man's face appeared on the small screen. Deho, it's 3 a.m. This better be important. Jiwoo, I need a favor. I need you to steal something for me. The man on the screen sat up straighter. What are you talking about? Steal what? An atmospheric regulator. Model K40. They have them in the station maintenance bay where I work. Jiwoo's eyes widened. That's felony theft. You'll lose your job. You'll lose custody of Hana. I know. Then why? Because a child is dying in front of me and I can save her if I have the right equipment. There was a long silence. Jiwoo had been Deho's friend since their military days. They had served together, fought together, saved each other's lives more than once. Is this about Sujin? Jiwoo asked quietly. No, yes, I don't know. Deho rubbed his tired eyes. I just know I can't walk away. Will you help me or not? Jiwoo sighed heavily. I'm going to regret this. Give me 2 hours. The screen went dark. Deho looked down at Arya. Her breathing had gotten worse in just the last few minutes. 2 hours might be too long. Behind him, he heard a familiar voice. Appa? He turned around quickly. Hana stood at the entrance of the shelter. She was supposed to be safe at Mrs. Park's apartment. Hana! What are you doing here? I told you to stay. Aunt Mrs. Park fell asleep, Hana said. I snuck out. I wanted to help. Nira stepped forward. Child, this is no place for you. You should go home. But Hana walked right past her. She went to Arya and sat down beside the dying alien girl. From her backpack, she pulled out a stuffed rabbit. It was old and worn with one eye missing. Sujin had given it to Hana when she was born. Hana carefully placed the rabbit next to Arya's hand. My mama gave me this when I was scared. She said everyone needs someone to hold when they're afraid. Lyra's eyes filled with tears. She knelt down and hugged Hana. The human child and the alien teenager held each other in the dim light of the shelter. Deho felt his heart breaking and healing at the same time. His daughter had her mother's compassion. Sujin would have been proud. 2 hours later, Jiwoo arrived with the stolen equipment. He looked around the shelter with wide eyes. By all the stars, Deho. What have you gotten yourself into? Saving a life. Help me set this up. Together, they worked to modify the atmospheric regulator. It was designed for cleaning station air, but Deho knew he could adjust it to produce higher argon levels. It was a complicated process, and he had to do it with limited tools. This is insane, Jiwoo muttered as he held a piece of equipment steady. You know they'll trace this back to you within 48 hours. The station tracks all equipment. I know. They'll arrest you. I know. Hana will be taken into protective services. Deho's hands stopped moving for a second. That was his worst fear, losing his daughter. But then he looked at Hana, sitting peacefully next to Arya, and he knew he was doing the right thing. Then I better save this kid's life before that happens. He finished the modifications. The machine hummed to life. Slowly, carefully, he placed a clear mask over Arya's face. Argon-enriched air began flowing into her lungs. For 10 minutes, nothing happened. Everyone in the shelter held their breath. Lyra gripped Deho's arm so tightly it hurt. Then, slowly, Arya's markings began to glow again. Faintly at first, then brighter. Her chest movements became deeper, more regular. Her eyes fluttered open. "Lyra?" Arya's voice was weak but clear. Lyra burst into tears. She grabbed her sister and held her close, sobbing words in her own language. Around them, other Velani refugees began to cheer quietly. Some were crying. Others were touching their foreheads in what Deho guessed was a gesture of thanks. Nira approached him. Her face was wet with tears. "Why did you do this? Your people usually don't help us. They hate us." Deho stood up slowly. His back hurt from bending over for hours. "My people? We're not all the same. Some of us are medics. Some of us are builders. Some of us show up when everything's falling apart, and we're the only thing standing between someone and death. That's what humans do. We don't give up on people. Not on our watch." Jiwoo put a hand on his shoulder. "You're going to pay for this, old friend. They'll come after you. Let them come." "And Hana?" Deho looked at his daughter. She was talking softly to Arya now, showing her the stuffed rabbit. Both girls were smiling. "I'm teaching her what her mother taught me, that someone has to go first. Someone has to be brave so others can follow." Nira stepped closer. "In our culture, when someone saves a life, we perform the Oath of Life song. It binds families together forever. Would you accept this honor?" "I don't know what that means." "It means your family and Lyra's family are now one. Your children are our children. Our honor is your honor. Forever." Deho felt the weight of those words. He nodded slowly. "I accept." As dawn light began to filter through the cracks in the shelter, Deho made a decision. This wasn't enough. Saving one child wasn't enough. There were thousands of Velani refugees suffering in the shadows. Someone needed to expose the truth. Someone needed to force the government to do the right thing. He pulled out his comm device again. This time he called Yoonhee, the journalist who had covered Sujin's death. "Yoonhee, I have a story for you, and it's going to make a lot of powerful people very angry." On the screen, the journalist's eyes lit up with interest. "I'm listening." "How would you like to expose the biggest humanitarian crisis Earth is hiding?" Around him, the refugees watched with hope and fear mixed together. They had lived in shadows for so long. Now one human was offering to bring them into the light. But light could burn as well as illuminate. Deho knew he was putting a target on his back. He knew he was risking everything. But as he watched Arya breathe normally for the first time in months, he knew he couldn't stop now. The hard part was just beginning. The evening air in New Seoul Station smelled like fried food and diesel fuel. Deho held his daughter's hand as they walked through the crowded market district. Hana was 7 years old, and she loved looking at the bright lights of the vendor stalls. "Appa, can we get noodles?" Hana asked, tugging at his sleeve. Deho smiled down at her. "Maybe tomorrow, sweetheart. We need to save money this week." They turned down a narrow alley between two tall buildings. This was the shortcut home. Deho had walked this path 1,000 times. He worked at the station as a maintenance worker, fixing broken machines and cleaning air filters. It was hard work, but it paid the bills. It had been 3 years since his wife died, and he was still learning how to be both mother and father to Hana. Halfway through the alley, Deho stopped. Something was wrong. He saw a small shelter made from cardboard boxes and plastic sheets. Next to it, a young girl knelt on the cold ground. She was not human. Her skin had strange markings that glowed faintly in the dark. These markings identified her as Velani, one of the alien species that lived on Earth now. The alien girl was crying. Next to her lay another alien, smaller and younger. The younger one was lying on a dirty blanket, not moving. Her glowing markings flickered like a dying light bulb. Hana gripped her father's hand tighter. "Appa, that girl is sad." The alien girl looked up at them. Her eyes were different from human eyes, but Deho could see the desperation in them. She reached out and grabbed the edge of his jacket with trembling fingers. "Please," she said in broken human language. "You are human. Humans have burial customs. We have nothing. When my sister dies, please just bury her. Don't let them throw her in the processing plant." Deho felt his chest tighten. He knew what she meant. Dead aliens without legal papers were sent to bio-waste facilities. They were treated like garbage. The Velani people believed strongly in burial in real Earth. It was their most important tradition. He looked at the younger alien girl on the blanket. She was breathing, but barely. Her chest moved up and down in short, painful gasps. Deho had been a military medic before he became a maintenance worker. He recognized these symptoms. This child was dying from crimson fade, a disease that killed Villani refugees who could not breathe Earth's air properly. Memories flooded his mind. 3 years ago, his wife Sujin died in a riot. She had been trying to protect alien children from an angry mob. Deho blamed himself for not being there. He also blamed the aliens for creating the situation in the first place. For 3 years, he had avoided aliens completely. He felt nothing but bitterness when he saw them. But now, looking at this dying child, something inside him cracked open. Appa. Hana's voice was small and scared. Can we help them? The alien girl was still holding his jacket. Please, I'm Lyra. This is Arya, my sister. She is only 9 years old. I know your people don't like us. I know we are not welcome here. But please, when she dies, just give her earth. Just let her rest in soil. Deho stared at the dying child. Arya's skin was turning gray. Her glowing markings were almost completely dark now. He calculated in his head. She had maybe hours left, maybe less. The smart thing would be to walk away. Aliens were trouble. Getting involved meant problems with the authorities. It meant putting Hana at risk. It meant opening old wounds that had barely healed. But then Hana pulled her hand free from his grip. She walked over to the younger alien and knelt down beside her. She took off her small jacket and laid it gently over Arya's shaking body. Don't be cold, Hana whispered to the dying alien child. Deho felt something break inside his chest. He remembered Sujin's last words to him, spoken in a hospital bed after the riot. Someone has to go first. Someone has to be brave. She had been talking about bridging the gap between humans and aliens. She died before she could see if her dream was possible. He made his decision in 3 seconds. Deho walked forward and knelt down. He picked up Arya in his arms. The alien child weighed almost nothing. Her skin was cold against his hands. Lyra gasped. What are you doing? We're not burying anyone today, Deho said firmly. Where's your shelter? Where are the other refugees? Lyra stared at him in shock. But why would you help us? Because she's still breathing, Deho said. And while she's breathing, there's a chance to save her. Now move. We don't have much time. He looked at Hana. Sweetheart, I need you to run to Mrs. Park's apartment. Give her my comm device and tell her to watch you tonight. Can you do that? Hana nodded seriously. She understood when her father was in his medic mode. She had seen it before when neighbors got hurt. Go now. Quick. Hana ran back toward the main street. Deho turned to Lyra. Take me to your people, now. Lyra scrambled to her feet. She grabbed the dirty blanket and wrapped it around Arya, covering her in Deho's arms. Follow me. It's not far. They moved through the dark alleys. People stared at them. Some humans cursed at Deho for carrying an alien. Others looked away quickly, not wanting to get involved. One old man spat on the ground. Alien lover, the old man muttered. Deho ignored him. He focused on Arya's breathing. It was getting weaker. They needed to hurry. Lyra led them to a basement entrance hidden behind a broken wall. They went down rusty metal stairs into darkness. At the bottom, a metal door opened. An older Villani woman stood there. Her markings showed she was an elder. Lyra, what have you done? The old woman said. Why did you bring a human here? This human wants to help Arya, Lyra said quickly. He carried her here. The old woman's eyes widened. She looked at Deho with confusion and suspicion. Deho pushed past her into the underground shelter. It was crowded with Villani refugees. Adults and children huddled together in small groups. The air smelled bad. There was no proper ventilation. This place was a death trap. He laid Arya down on a cleaner section of floor. He looked around at the shocked faces staring at him. My name is Deho. I was a combat medic in the border conflicts. I treated wounded from both sides. He pointed at Arya. This child has crimson fade. She needs higher argon levels in the air to breathe properly. I can help her, but I need supplies. The old woman stepped forward. Why would you help us? Your wife died because of us. Deho felt anger flash through him, but he pushed it down. My wife died protecting children. All children. Human or not. He looked directly into the old woman's eyes. I'm not letting another child die in front of me. Not human. Not alien. Not anymore. Are you going to help me save her? Or are you going to let her die while we argue? The old woman stared at him for a long moment. Then she nodded slowly. My name is Nira. Tell me what you need. Deho began listing medical supplies. His hands were already moving, checking Arya's pulse, listening to her breathing. The medic inside him had woken up after 3 years of sleep. Outside the shelter, the city continued its normal life. But in this dark basement, something extraordinary was beginning. A human who had every reason to hate aliens was fighting to save one, and the whole galaxy was about to learn what happens when a human decides to care. Arya's markings flickered one more time, then went completely dark. Deho's hands moved faster. Time was running out.